Detective Comics 1074, Ram V writing with Dustin Wynn on the art. So Wynn joining the book. I actually didn't recognize his art at first because I'm so used to him having just like more unique coloring, I guess.
Yeah.
Because I think of Dustin Wynn and I think of like watercolors, or I think of something like that. So this was a lot more typical
kind of like Manipul that way, right? You have a vision in your head of what it looks like, and then when one thing changes, it kind of changes the rest of the art. I thought it fit in really well with a lot of the etherealness, because Wynn has those kind of softer edges on things, so it kind of added the etherealness of whatever Bruce is going through here.
Oh yeah.
I think you can really see it on the faces. I think all of just the people's faces. That looks really classic Wynn to me.
Yeah. No, it absolutely does. This main cop we're kind of following this issue. He as soon as we get that page where he's like on the phone, I'm like, oh yeah, I can see the Dustin Wynn like in his face. But it doesn't. It didn't strike me as one instantly, like his art usually does, because it does have just sort of. Not bad coloring, but I mean, it's just more normal coloring versus what he usually has. So the premise of this issue is that after the explosion at the tower, which ended the last arc, I think, before Night Terrors kicked off, Batman's seemingly going around the city, and he's kind of out of it. We kind of come at this issue from the perspective of other people. It's this detective who's on the case, trying to track him down. And we get stories from different people. The first one here at the start of the issue is this, basically like, I don't know, meth chemist or whatever he is.
Yeah. He would have worked against Walter White on Breaking Bad.
Yes, absolutely. So he is telling the cops like what happened and why there's a fire on the roof, and he's blaming Batman for it. It's actually a really fun couple of pages because this guy is trying to present it as if he's this good stand-up citizen, but when we're seeing the panels and the art, it contradicts everything he's saying, because they're cooking drugs and then they pull out their guns and this sort of stuff. That made that first couple of pages quite entertaining. But yeah, Batman doesn't look quite right. When you see him, he looks like he's a little bit monstrous and there's something going on. And he's going around the city.
Green eyes.
Yeah, and he's going around the city. He's going to different like prominent locations. Like he goes to like this, was it Martin's? This like candy shop that's next to the pier, and then we get a flashback of when he was a kid with his dad, and they were at that pier, and then eventually it's the Flying Grayson's circus, the fairgrounds, and then ultimately Crime Alley later on, and it's like he's going to all these locations that are connected to his past. And it's not until the end of the issue where we really get a sense of, okay, what is the internal struggle that's happening here? He's basically fighting for control against the demon inside him, the monster. And then there's another kind of monstrous figure also talking to him in his ear as well. So there's a lot going on here to sort of dissect, like the exact meaning of all this.
You've got the demon wolf thing, kind of like going after his fears internally, and then you've got the big vampire bat dude in a robe. That's kind of on his side.
Yeah, but it's supposed to be Barbatos, right?
I assume so.
Yeah.
But
yeah, no. You got those great big pages where it's like the wolves like devouring. Well, I guess it's like his dad the first time you see it, where it's just this big wolf head. So it's when he's walking away from the memory, and it's like the wolves coming for his dad.
Yep.
And you see
you got one going after. I think it eats dick, right? During the Flying Grayson's bit. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Phrasing. Phrasing.
Technically correct, but yes.
Because this is what's the name of these things again, right? That they put in him.
Asthma.
Yes, the asthma.
Yeah.
Right. So this is the asthma trying to get hold of it. It almost seems like Bruce going through his past is what is keeping it at bay, right? It's like he's forcing himself to go through these traumas again as a way to keep it at bay, because that's what birthed Batman.
And there's a lot of like sort of symbolism in this issue. You can't read everything you see as literal. It's very obviously there's times when you're with the police officers or whatever where okay, this is just a normal scene. But anytime you see Batman, like there's a great like it's the page after the first time you see the big wolf where he's almost like just a bat on fire with the cowl, and it's all red behind him. Like obviously it's very symbolic of like what's going on inside rather than what he actually looks like.
He's very Wraith-like.
Yeah, and he beats up all
Looks
the
great as well.
clowns in Joker Town. Do you know what? I love that Croc's like just happily talking to the police, and I knew it was Croc as well just from the color of the box. There's something about it being a green box, but just a dark green that I went, oh, I think this is Croc. I just got it instantly.
Yeah.
So
I'd say that's really strong editorial over years, right? To establish that, hey, this is what Croc's lettering looks like. It's just this is what you use because that's what this character is, and obviously there's some flexibility on some characters, but when it's someone like Croc who's not there that often, it's just enough that, hey, this tells you who it is every time.
I think it's a mix of the color and the tone, because if this was a slightly lighter green and the phrasing was slightly different, I would have probably assumed like Poison Ivy instead, without seeing who it was. But the way the dialogue is written plus the tone of green, it's like, oh no, this feels more like Croc, and then sure enough it turns out to be Croc the next page. So what's the lady with the eyes called? All the eyes that works for the Arsons? No one remembers.
This is the problem with Night Terrors, right?
Yeah,
there's all these new characters. I don't even remember the wolf's name. I just know there's the wolf guy, the eye lady.
Yeah.
And then Orgum, of course, because he's the main guy.
Yeah, so she's leading a little team looking for Batman as well, as are the police. The officer we were following here, apparently he was saved by Batman during a Scarecrow attack, and it has a note saying all the way back in Batman Secret Files 1. I'll believe you, and I believe this happened, but that was ages ago, so I don't remember this.
That's what I was trying to look up earlier when you guys were talking about the art and whatnot. I don't remember. I know I read this because I pulled up the cover.
Yeah.
I know we read it. I don't remember the stories that were in it, though.
That was a while ago.
Yeah. Actually, I was mentioning the coloring earlier. I will say the coloring on the flashbacks is a little closer to what I expect from Dustin 1. So it's a little paler. It's a little more. Yeah. I'm looking at the page with young Dick, because now it's Bruce and Dick in the flashback before he turns out a Nightwing, and falls and is eaten by the wolf. That's actually a great page. Like he's doing the trapeze and he falls off and into the wolf's mouth. I was actually wondering here if it was meant to be a giant bat, because you don't really see behind it, and I don't know. I agree that it looks more wolf-like, but the way it's like front legs looked in this page as it's eating Dick, I was going, wait, is this maybe like some sort of like really deformed bat who's like more monstrous, so it looks more like a wolf's head? But it is a wolf.
I guess you could take it that way.
Yeah, I mean, but you look at the one where it eats Thomas, right? It's very wolf-like.
It is, no.
Versus,
I agree.
But
the nose is definitely wolf-like. It was just the way it looked on this page made me go, wait, is this going to turn out to be like a huge bat that we're just not seeing all of yet?
Yeah,
I get it. I can see it with the arms and even the ears.
Yeah. Yeah, so we do actually end up back in Crime Alley, and obviously all of us are with bated breath going, don't you dare show the perils. Don't you dare show them. Yeah. Now, what I like here is that he does see kind of like the shadows of him and his parents, but I love that it's mostly in the reflection of the water, so it's like a really subtle thing to be like, oh, he's thinking about it, but we're not going to, do the whole song and dance of actually showing the perils falling and all that. It's just enough, and that does the thing.
If we'd had to see the pearls again after Night Terrors.
I know. Oh, dear. So Barbatos kind of basically says he's too clever for his own good. Because Bruce is basically trying to fight his way out of this. He's trying to reason with himself and fight off this sort of invasion, if you will. And Barbatos says, I can't really stop it, but maybe I can hold it off a little bit whilst you... maybe save Gotham after all. So we kind of build up to this. Montoya's looking at the map, seeing all these locations that Batman has been.
All these locations that are important to Bruce. He's anchoring himself in the city.
And which is interesting, because obviously the city being like a character almost has definitely been like a theme throughout this entire run. So this is like him using the city to save himself. And it's notably the detective does kind of connect that two of them are related to Bruce Wayne. By the end here, that's kind of the cliffhanger we leave on, is that he connects Crime Alley to the fairground, because Bruce bought that some time ago. So maybe we're leading up to this guy figuring out who Batman is. Because he's starting to put some pieces together.
That would definitely make for a hell of an Act 3.
Yeah.
Well, there's that, or it's gonna tie Wayne and the Orgums together somehow, right? because of the history of the cities. You know?
Yeah, I'm thinking less of a plot thing though, or more just like a thematic wrap up to the stuff we're doing there. Like, or what if the point of this character is that he's someone else good that the city's basically created because of all the things that have happened to him? So he's going to be like a new kind of ally of sorts because, hey, the city gives birth to things like this, like Batman, like him, like whoever. So, I don't know, it's just interesting. Yeah, it was an enjoyable issue. It was a nice change of pace because it was very, like, a new direction. It's like, okay, after this explosion, Batman sort of lost it. He's been infected. He's going through the city. I like the fact that we're seeing everything from other people's perspectives for about 2/3 of the issue before we finally sort of see him kind of dealing with it. It's very interesting. So,
yeah. So he at the end there he talks about he's asking the other cop. He goes, "You ever watch the old '60s film called The Swimmer?" And he goes, "Never mind, it's a long shot." So I just pulled that up, and apparently that was a 1968 surrealist drama starring Burt Lancaster. And when you look at the poster, the tagline is, "When you talk about The Swimmer, well, you talk about yourself." So what's MV trying to tell us here?
Unfortunately, I've not seen The Swimmer, so I can't offer.
Yeah.
Tons of insight.
He throws it in there, and I don't think we'll have to watch it, but him pulling that up, and then it seems to me, with all the surrealism and whatever this officer, I think it's Officer Fielding, is that his name?
That sounds right. Yeah.
Yeah, whatever Fielding's putting together, it's along those lines of, someone losing their mind and going through. So I think that's pretty interesting. But yeah, real nice. It felt like a warm hug back from MV. Not that the Night Terrors Detective Comics stuff was.
I mean, it was
bad.
the best one. Like Detective Comics, Night Terrors was the best tie-in, easily.
Yeah. So you get back to the Orgums and the Asmer and Bruce and all of this stuff.
The Night Terrors tie-in for this, Connor, was Dan Waters doing effectively Hellraiser in Gotham.
That sounds pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah, you might want to check that out.
There wasn't really one. It was basically just a story about Gordon investigating something, and some rich people had used a device to summon. What would they call it? It wasn't Cenobites, obviously. It was
they were fifth dimensional something.
Yeah,
they're like terrors.
Fifth dimensional demons. But it was basically Cenobites in terms of what it felt like.
And it's Federici on the art too.
That's right. That was right. The art was really good too.
So.
Yeah, there's a backup here though. We have Dan Waters, speaking of the demon himself, with Hayden Sherman on art for a story about the Ten-Eyed Man. And this was interesting to me because this was Ten-Eyed Man. He's basically saying he's noticed something's wrong because the place that hands out free pizza on like Friday night or whatever it is shut. And he ends up accidentally killing the owner of this place because he touches his head with his finger to sort of see what he knows or what's happened to him. And he accidentally pokes his head and leaves him for dead.
And too much. Ten-Eyed Man is so creepy.
He's very creepy.
I do not like him.
But what this basically ends up doing...
Sorry, Pete of Pete's Pizza.
Yes, Pete of Pete's Pizza, that was it. So is it just me, or is and this might tie into the main story and what's going on here with what the Asmers are trying to do, but it kind of felt like people are starting to forget that Batman exists. Like, that was kind of the vibe.
Yeah, he's talking about how there's a hole in Gotham, right?
Yeah, like something's missing. Maybe it's more symbolic than literally they're forgetting, but like...
Well, don't forget, it is like a reality engine that the Organs are activating, right? And it plays with reality, but because of Barbados' influence, this is how I've been reading it, right? And all the stuff that Bruce went through, Gotham always has a protector, whether it's, Bruce or someone always foils the Organs, right? And here, this might be one step closer to them being successful. And if the Ten-Eyed Man's noticing it, because, he notices all the breaks in reality because he's outside of reality kind of in and of himself, right? He experiences his own.
Yeah, but even he forgets because there's that page where the bat signal disappears, and it's not like it's just turned off. Like the circle of where it would be is still there, but it's just empty. It's like the symbol's been erased from his mind. So even he's starting to forget things. But he's noticing these differences and stuff. And then the fun bit at the end is that he escapes from jail after they arrest him by slipping through the hole that he makes.
The hole in reality.
Yeah, the hole in reality that he makes with Renee Montoya's mind.
Yeah.
Which is a very big concept to try and wrestle with, but He's happy
Yeah.
he got his pizza.
It's no, but even there's a bit where it shows Batman like fighting some thugs, and he's like blanked out as well in the same style as the Bat Signal. It's just that white outline.
Yeah. So it's interesting. It certainly, I think it does tie into the main story and the idea that they are trying to remove Batman from Gotham, but not just like kill him, but actually erase his existence.
Yeah.
Right. That's the whole thing that we go to as Batman as an idea, right? And that's how they can get rid of the idea of Batman, right? What fills in that void? And it seems to be nothing, right? It creates a hole. So.
Yeah. Well, I never even thought of it this way, but literally the signal without the symbol does look like just a hole in the sky. It's almost visually just representing that. That is kind of neat, actually.
And the art for this backup is great. The colors especially really just make this work.
There's a lot
It's not the same... Go ahead.
Sorry? I was going to say, there's a lot of layouts here where it uses Ten-Eyed Man's hands as like the framing device to split up the panels.
I almost want to print all these pages out and like arrange them. I feel like they'd just flow really nicely together with all the way the hands come out of the edges of the page.
Yeah, I'm looking through. It's not, the first page isn't like that, but every page after, pretty much probably up until the jail cell
until he's in the cage,
are all framed using his hands to like make the layouts. So
is this the same artist that did the Arkham book?
I think so.
I don't think so.
It feels very similar. So the hard lines and just the odd angles.
Wait, what Arkham book are you talking about? Because like the story with Ten-Eyed Man before was definitely more abstract in its art.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. It was the Dan Waters.
No,
book.
was that not Danny?
Okay,
that sounds right. Yeah,
It was Danny. I've just found it.
This is good art, but it's way more normal looking, if that makes sense.
Yes, yeah. It seemed very familiar, and I think maybe that's what
stylistically, it's still taking its cues from that. Like it definitely feels like it's supposed to be spiritually just straight on from that book.
Right. Okay. I couldn't remember off the top, but yeah. But the layouts are I really like, making the all the action happening in between the fingers on that one page, but yeah.
Yeah. All right. Okay, what we rating Detective Comics then, Connor?
I'll give it an 8.5. It's a great issue.
Matt?
Hey, 8.5 for me too.
Okay, fine, 8.5. I guess I'll just agree with the team.